date to be somewhere around 15th of June. Mr. Narayan Shetty, please mute yourself. You're unmuting again and again. Okay. So we had discussed a strategy for that. 1 week has gone, and I hope that all the aspirants who have not prepared for UGC NET before have started their preparation and have completed week 1's targets. If not, then I think you need to buckle up, and we decided on assuming that you can balance out everything, at least 18 hours for preparation for paper 1 and a similar number of hours for paper 2. So if you haven't given those hours this week, then you might need to give more hours next week. You will be running short of time if you don't start preparing now. We'll start the session with a quick recap of the strategy that we discussed last time, and then a few more pointers for the paper exam we'll discuss today about how to prepare for it and what are the exam strategies, question solving strategies that you need to keep in mind. And at the end, we'll also discuss about the UGC NET paper 1 crash course, which we have launched for the first time. It's a launch, and we'll be, please mute yourself. We'll be discussing about the course also, and the course begins on Monday. So a lot of what I covered today might be discussed in the course in bits and pieces, but today I'm talking specifically about exam-related strategies, which will help you during the paper. Just give me a moment to share my presentation. Please mute yourself, everyone, so that it is not disturbed. Unpin myself. Okay, so a quick recap of last week's webinar for those who have forgotten it and for those who were not present there or who have come here for the first time. So we discussed a 45-day strategy for paper 1 with topic-wise study. Total 18 hours per week, which could be divided into 3 hours into 6 days or 2.5 hours into 6 days, which would make it 15 hours plus 3 hours on Sunday. You can devote this time depending on your schedule. Week 1, which actually ends today, if we consider you starting your preparation from last Sunday, you are supposed to study the theories for teaching and research aptitude and solve previous year questions. 8 hours of teaching aptitude theories, 8 hours of research aptitude theories. This would be followed by week 2, communication, higher education, and ICT. So understand the frameworks, government initiatives, and conceptual theory for these topics. The division of hours is there in front of your screen. Communication 6 hours, higher education 4 hours, ICT 4 hours, and previous year questions to be solved. Week 3, maths and data interpretation. So roughly 12 hours for practicing sums, 3 hours for practicing previous year questions, plus 3 more hours to practice mixed questions of all the topics, along with maths. Week 4, logical reasoning, people and development. And when you go to week 4, you might start forgetting the concepts that you have previously learned. So a revision of week 1 and week 2 topics, along with logical reasoning, people and development. Plus solving previous year questions from
Dhara ma'am, would it be possible to take it on a slideshow mode?
Is it very small? Then I can just increase the size of the slide, I guess.
Yeah, that would also work. Yeah, this seems good. Uh, yeah, you can reduce the left side panel. Yeah, thank you.
Better?
Yeah, better.
Okay. So week 5, reading comprehension plus mixed practice. So reading comprehension would be 4 hours. Revision of week 3 and week 4 topics. If you remember, last in week 4, we say revision of week 1, week 2 topics. Week 5, you revise week 3 and week 4 topics. Your revision has to go along with studying new things. Otherwise, probably by the time you reach your 6th week, you will forget everything and you will have to start anew, which we cannot afford because it's just 1 week to exam. Revision plus deep dive into previous year questions and starting of practice for mocks. So at least one full mock paper to be given and analyzing it. So 3 hours for mock and 1 hour for analyzing the paper. Okay. Week 6, the last week, is somewhere where you practice 2 mocks and high frequency questions, which are usually asked, and a quick revision of all the important aspects of all the topics from paper 1. This is what is a tentative planning for 6 weeks, considering the exam date comes somewhere around 15th of June. If the exam date comes later on, then obviously you have more time to practice, more time to solve mocks, and more time to, let's say, strengthen your concepts. Okay. Paper 2 strategy was morning fresh focus. So whenever you feel that there's a theory heavy topic that you need to learn, which is more in paper 2 as compared to paper 1, so take it in the morning. Afternoon, paper 1 theory, which is a bit lighter. Not for research and teaching aptitude. Some of the theories are harder, but rest of them can be practiced in afternoon. And the evening slot, you can do application. That is, solve previous year questions, notes, revisions, mock tests. And in weekend, you can, do a mock test or review, a weekend buffer. This is just a suggestion. You need to customize your plan according to what your schedule is. If you are a student, or if you are someone who's preparing only for UGC NET without working, then you can give more hours to the preparation. If you are someone who's working longer hours, or let's say working in a college in the morning, taking classes in the evening, then you need to work your way out to find out time to practice. Things like that. Don't mix heavy paper 1 and paper 2 topics on same day. Always do paper 1 revision in afternoon. Paper 2 is your scoring anchor, but paper 1 holds 1/3 weightage of the total marks. So 1/3 is not a small weightage. So don't ignore your paper 1. So that was all about a revision of what we did last week. We also talked about the fact that you should have weekly milestones based on the 45-day strategy that we prepared. These are your weekly milestones. We will not be sharing this PPT, but please feel free to take screenshots wherever required. Okay. We will not be able to share the PPT, but please feel free to take the screenshots again. So prioritize based on weightage and scoring with ease. So now we are focusing on paper 1. So if we talk about 50 questions of paper 1, then teaching aptitude always have almost more than 5 questions. And same goes for research aptitude. There's one reading comprehension, which if you are good in English, or if you have practiced your reading comprehension strategies well, then you would score 5 marks. Along with being good in English, there are also certain strategies that you need to know in order to solve answers for reading comprehension. Like one of the very famous ways examiners confuse you is they'll give you 4 options in which all the keywords would be present in the comprehension. So unless you don't understand the exact context you will feel all the four options are correct if you just go by the keywords. But words like none, always, mostly, few, rarely, sometimes, this would be the actual game changer of the questions. So there are a lot of strategies like this. So if you know those strategies, then also it becomes easier to score in reading comprehension. Of course, practice and a basic understanding of English language is essential. Logical reasoning, again, if you practice the theory portion and Venn diagrams and syllogisms, if your mind works that way, it's very, very much scoring if you have practiced it. Communication is just basic theory. If you have grasped the various communication model theories and you understand how it goes, it's very easy theory. You can, in your afternoon free time, you can just, between lectures also, you can go through the theory of this and score marks. Data interpretation, like it's again one table or one graph or one pie chart given. Excuse me. Okay, so it's always one data, one pie chart given, and there you have 3 to 5 questions. So these are always something that if you know the basic formulas or if you understand how percentages, fractions, ratio and proportion work, what is cost price, what is selling price, it's not essential to form formulas every time that everything needs to be converted into X is to Y, yeah, or like we did in school. Sometimes doing mental calculation also helps. Like, if there are, if I have to ask you that there are 20, let's say 20 mangoes for 100 rupees, then what's the cost of 50 mangoes? Now we don't need to go and solve an equation for this. If 20 is 100, then it would be 5 rupees per mango. So 50 mangoes is 50 into 5 is equal to 250. This is not the level of the question. The questions, of course, are a bit difficult. But for every question, you don't need to create a formula and solve. Of course, when we give explanations, yes, that's the way. But then mental calculations would also help you. And of course, calculators are allowed. So if you learn the basic concepts, more than learn, I would rather say revise the maths that you have learned till your 10th standard, and there's no difficult cos and theta kind of things asked. Okay, there's no very heavy algebra asked. It's quite basic, and if you just revise those things that you have learned till 10th standard, then this data interpretation marks are directly in your pocket, and a lot of mathematical aptitude questions would also be covered in that. ICT is computers, environment, and higher education. This is completely theory based. You don't have to operate the computers. You just need to know the history of computers, softwares, and stuff like that. So together about 10-15 marks come from here. Okay. So this is the weightage of different sections or different topics of paper 1. And that is how you need to prepare accordingly. So some topics are high effort and low return for beginners, like DI sets or obscure higher education facts. Now you don't know the basic theories, but then you are going on memorizing all those obscure facts about other than the important 7-8 theories. Then that's going to be a lot of effort and low return. Now, for someone who has been preparing for this since a year or has been giving this exam for the second or third time, maybe that is completely okay. But for someone who has started preparing just a month ago or is probably going to start it tomorrow, please don't go for obscure topics or difficult topics rather. Just give me a moment. Sorry. So topics like teaching aptitude. See, if you have teaching experience, you know what classroom communication is. You know how learners learn. It's very easy to understand MLT, ULT kind of things, because when you have experience, you just need to read those theories, understand how it works. You don't even need to memorize it, because we don't have to answer detailed questions. We just have to solve MCQs based on application of those theories. Okay. So for a teacher, teaching aptitude works well. If you have done some kind of research, you would know what are the basics of it. So again, that helps. Communication, again, very, very basic theory that needs to be learned. And ICT questions, half of it, if you have taken computers in 10th or 12th standard, half of it you must have already studied. Only a little bit of acronyms, that is full forms, you need to learn, and a little bit newer theory of computers needs to be learned. Basic software, hardware, all of us have studied in our schools, especially if you have taken computer in 12th standard. So even if you are starting tomorrow, please don't be afraid. It is completely possible to score. You just need to know how to approach things. So teaching aptitude, some of the theories are a bit heavy, and research aptitude is again a very heavy topic. So take this in morning. When you're solving maths questions, you can do that in afternoon. Communication, ICT theories can be, again, higher education, people in development. All of this can be learned in afternoon. Prepare a page where you have a list of dates. If you have already enrolled in our crash course for UGC Net Paper 1, I'll be sharing that list of important dates from all the 10 topics. Please just get it printed, paste it on the wall, and read it 3-4 times every day. Even if you get 1 or 2 questions from them, then those are your direct marks. Okay. So that is how you can prioritize based on weightage and easy topics, difficult topics. For example, now I'm just giving example, like for research aptitude, research, meaning, types and characteristics, positivism, post-positivistic approach to research. These are the important topics that you need to know about. Methods of research, experimental, descriptive, historical, qualitative, and quantitative methods. Steps of research, thesis and article writing, the format and styles of referencing like MLA, application of ICT in research, and research ethics. There are more topics other than this, but these are the most scoring topics. So unless and until you have not completed these topics, don't go for the obscure ones, especially for those who are in the last moment preparation and who have just started preparing. Similarly, for mathematical reasoning and aptitude, types of reasoning like number series, letter series, codes, relationships, fractions, ratio, proportion, time and distance, percentage, profit and loss, interest, and discounting. Discount is like cost price this much, selling price this much, or discount percentages this much, things like that. Averages, etc. is written because there is a chance that other kinds of questions are also asked, but these are the most common questions asked when it comes to maths. Similarly, for data interpretation, sources, acquisition and classification of data, quantitative and qualitative data, graphical representation, bar chart, histograms, pie chart, table chart, and line chart. So any kind of chart can be asked, and there would be 3 to 5 questions based on that. Mapping of data and governance. These are the important topics. People development and environment. So in this, the important topics are, now this is again a lighter read because it is mostly about, you can think it is like reading essays, social studies, okay? So you need to read it, and whatever you can remember of those theories, you can. Then there are also important conventions and dates and policies and acts in this. They just need to be memorized. Now, there's no logic as to why this happened in this year. It happened. This was the year when this convention happened, or this was an act which was put into practice. Human and environment interaction, then environmental issues like local, regional, and global, different kinds of pollutions, waste and waste management, climate change, and all the related topics to it. Impact of pollutants on human health, natural and energy resources like solar, bio, water, coal, natural hazards and disasters, disaster management. And then you have various acts like Environmental Protection Act, National Action Plan on Climate Change, international agreements, various summits and conventions. So these are the main topics in people development and environment. In the topic higher education system, institutions of higher learning and education in ancient India, evolution of higher learning and research in post-independence India, Oriental conventional and non-conventional learning programs in India, professional, technical, and skill-based education, value education and environmental education, policies, governance, and administration. So these are the important topics in higher education system. Before we move on, I would like to share the topics for others also. If you want, you can note them down because they have not been included in the slides. Like if we talk about teaching aptitude, the important topics are learning theories, then various levels of teaching, models of teaching, learner characteristics, methods of teaching, like whether the class is teacher-centric or whether the class is learner-centric. Then we also have digital online platforms like MOOC, M-O-O-C, Swayam, Swayam Prabha. These are, at least one question is asked from MOOC, Swayam Prabha, usually. Evaluation systems, how do we evaluate students, various evaluation systems, and teaching support systems. So these are the major topics in teaching aptitude: learning theories, levels of teaching, models of teaching, learner characteristics, like how do students learn, different methods of teaching, whether it's teacher-centric or learner-centric or different kinds of methods. Then online platforms like MOOCs, Swayam Prabha, evaluation systems, and teaching support system. Okay, so if you have to prepare teaching aptitude, if you just prepare these topics, at least if you have less time, you can just go through these topics. There are a lot of definitions and dates and like factors affecting teachers, factors affecting learning, a lot of factors apart from this. But then if you have less time, you will not be able to memorize all of the theory. If you are someone who has already prepared the main topics, then you can go for the other topics apart from this where you can score. Logical reasoning. Now, logical reasoning, the major topic is structure of arguments. Like what are the different parts of an argument? How are they related? Deductive and inductive reasoning. Then you have moods and figures in syllogisms. You have Venn diagrams, three circles interacting with each other. How are they connected with each other? Then Indian logic system, where we have pramanas and all the other related terminology. So these are the most important parts of studying logical reasoning: structure of argument, deductive and inductive reasoning, syllogism, immediate and mediate reference, formal and informal fallacies. All of this is actually a part of structure of arguments only, and Indian logic system, pramanas and other related terminology. So that is important to know when it comes to logical reasoning. For computers, history of computers, basics of software, basics of hardware, like what does the mouse do? What is the CPU? Which has, if we consider different kinds of memories, which has more memory, whether the CPU has higher memory or the RAM has the higher memory or the ROM has the higher memory. Arrange them in ascending order, descending order, and then you have to select which option is correct. Those kind of questions are asked from it. Binary system, 0 and 1 is how the computer operates. So you need to know if a number is given in binary system, you have to choose the correct option, that what is the meaning of this number. So you need to know binary system. Basics of internet. Now that internet has developed so well, what are the basics of internet? And also how email works. Then there's a list of terms of computers and acronyms, the abbreviations which are used, which you purely need to memorize. There's no other way around it. And one more important topic in ICT is digital initiatives in higher education. So they're all the initiatives taken by government or various platforms, various softwares which are formed for higher education. You need to know the names and the functions of those initiatives. Again, when it comes to communication, models of communication, types of communication, like verbal, non-verbal, then when it comes to written, oral, even written, it is email, text messages, or paper, that is letters, reports, memos. All of these are different kinds of communication. Okay. Barriers to communication. When it comes to barriers, you can think of language, that is the semantic barrier, then how we think, the psychological barriers, cultural barriers, gender barriers, all of this, social barriers are also there. All of these barriers, which are the different kinds of barriers, and if a particular situation is described, then which barrier is applicable in that situation. So you need to you need to not memorize the theory, rather understand the theory, and then given in the given example, which barrier is this an example of? Those kind of questions are asked nowadays, application based questions. Classroom communication, because it's an exam for teachers. So classroom communication, how does teacher communicate with the student? What are the problems arising? What are the ways you can do it better? And there's one more topic included in this, that is mass media. So the overall mass media, whether it's newspapers, whether it's television, digital media, you need to know the theory related and understand the basics of that as well. And the last topic is comprehension. So in comprehension, just as I gave example while discussing previously, that there are various strategies to solve MCQs of reading comprehension so that you can get the correct answer in less time. So those strategies you need to know, and then all you need to do is practice. Read the passages, answer the questions. Read the passages, answer the questions. If you have enough time, you can also do 30 minutes of reading every day. 30 minutes of reading.
It's not visible. The slide
Sorry?
has just stuck on
No,
a
I have
tab.
not. Ma'am, I have already told you that I have not. There are no slides for this. I am explaining this.
Okay. No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, so for reading comprehension, there's no list of strategies actually. These are just small things that you need to keep in mind. But the faster your speed of reading, the faster would be your speed of solving those questions. So if you get time, if you are someone who's not confident about reading English, then you should practice reading English for 30 minutes every day. Okay, start from today. You still have 40 days at least. Read English 30 minutes every day. Now, this is provided you have enough time to prepare for everything else. Okay, so if you don't have time to prepare for other theories, then just reading English won't help. Okay, so prepare the theories. If you don't have time, then you can at least practice 1 or 2 passages every day. And if you get time, you can work upon improving your English skills. Anyways, English is an important skill to be learned these days, knowing English language. because that is really helpful if you want to progress in your career as well. So this was all about the important focus areas of paper 1. Just give me a moment. I'll just plug in my laptop. Okay. So clear so far on all the focus areas. For those who have already prepared, this would be just a quick recap of all the main topics. For those who are preparing for the first time, please ensure that you study the important topics first and then go ahead. Now, these topics which I have discussed is also the outline of the crash course that we are going to take on paper 1. So essentially, I've given you the list of topics that we'll be covering in the crash course. Moving forward, these are some strategies to implement specifically for exam. So in spite of preparing for 1 year, 2 years, there is always a moment where you feel that I have not prepared. So for those who are preparing only for 1 or 2 months, obviously there would be a time or a moment where you feel that I am not confident enough for giving the exam. So you need to understand that in spite of whatever amount of preparation you do, this nervousness and anxiety happens to everyone. So what can you do for that? Train your brain to see the paper as a familiar, manageable challenge. How do you do that? Give mock test. When you give a mock test of 3 hours, where the first hour is 50 questions of paper 1 and the next 2 hours are the 100 questions of paper 2, your mind would start understanding how to solve the paper. So when on the day of actual exam, it would not go into shock, nervousness, or anxiety, because you've already practiced giving papers so much. If possible, when you give mock, recreate the exam environment by giving it on the time when you will have the paper. Okay, same time, same sitting posture, same 3-hour practice. Preferably at the time when you will have your actual paper. So if your actual paper is going to be at 9 in the morning, then practice your mocks at 9 in the morning. If possible, at least on Sunday, you can do that. Okay. So this gives your brain a habit. It will start feeling that this is something that is familiar and you do not need to fear it. Track tiny wins. Like, don't wait for big results to happen. You can celebrate finishing a mock test, reward yourself if you complete your weekly goals for preparation, and Sunday is the day when you reflect on your progress, that whether you were able to finish your weekly goals, or whether you were if there's something pending, how will you cover it next week. So I've given you the weekly goals for paper 1. For paper 2, as we have, I guess, more than 85 topics, that would not be possible for me to cover in a webinar. But use your discretion and use the other resources which are available, and prepare such a plan for paper 2 as well, so that every week you are on track. Pre-exam mind rituals. Build your 15-minute pre-exam ritual. So when you go into the exam room, there would be a time where you don't have anything in front of you and you don't have anything to do, and you're just sitting and waiting for the exam to start. So what would you do there? Deep breathing, a quick scan of key formulas in your mind, and you can say one confidence boosting sentence, Chak de, anything that works for you. Just whatever works for you. Say God's name if you are someone who believes in God, whosoever is your God. Do this every time you give a mock. So when in the actual exam you do it, your mind knows that now it has to go into exam mode. These are neuro-linguistic programming hacks. Okay. It seems silly, but it works, especially to calm down your anxiety. When you are anxious, you will do silly mistakes. You will also forget those answers which ideally you would have, recalled very nicely and scored well. So calming down that anxiety is very important. If you are not anxious, half the job is done. If you have prepared for the exam, your full job is done. Now you just need to go and mark the correct answers. Okay? Apply whatever you have learned. So 3 tips for memory and recall while you are studying and preparing for exam. Spaced revision. So like revise once after 3 days, if possible. Again after 7 days, or at least after 15 days. Like if you see, by the time it's week 4, I've asked to revise the important topics. Now, because we have lesser time, it's not possible for us to follow this. But it has been proven that when you revise something after 3 days, then after 7 days, and after 15 days, your ability to recall it becomes higher. And in exam, all that we do is just recall what we have learned, right? So that is one way. Blurting technique. Read a topic, close the book, write down everything you remember. Now compare it with whatever you have studied. So for theory-heavy topics where there's a lot of theory, this will help you recall, and the memory will be more long-term than short-term. Active recap sheets. So creating one-page summaries with all the keywords. Use colors, diagrams, arrows. Now this is a time-taking activity. So if you have time, do that. If you don't, then I would suggest that you focus on actually solving previous year questions and understanding how questions are asked, what are the theories, rather than giving your time to this. But if you are someone who has entire full day only devoted to the preparation, then this is how you can create your notes. Use blurting technique, use active recap sheets, revise everything, 3, 7, 15, use that. Okay, so you need to know what to apply and what not to apply based on your current schedule. Here we have all kinds of students, or rather, I would say UGC NET aspirants mixed in this class. So if you're someone who's just a PhD student, then for 40 days, you can focus only on preparing for the exam. You can take more detailed notes, preparing more detail. If you're someone who's balancing your job and UGC NET preparation, then just go for the main topics for now and solve more of previous year questions, because that will give you an idea of how to apply the theory that you have learned. Okay. Next, when you write your mock test and then don't just write it and check the answers. Analyze what went wrong. In which questions did you lose marks? So you will know your weaker subjects, where you need to revise. And it's not just about weaker subjects. See, if you see an answer is wrong, just go to that concept and revise it. At least that concept is revised. So you don't make a mistake in it in the main paper. See if there's any silly mistake. You know you are the answer, but still you mark the wrong one because of lack of attention. That is not how you lose marks. Okay, that is a very bad way to lose marks. Simulate exam pressure. Attempt at least 3 full lengths mocks at 9 a.m. or whatever is your exam time, just like real exam time. Reverse practice. After every test, write down the questions you got wrong and practice similar ones for next 2 days. So whatever concepts you got wrong, practice more previous year questions or new questions in that topic, so that your topic becomes stronger. The concepts become stronger. Start with your now we are going to the exam day tips. Like on the day of the exam, what should be done? Start with your strongest topics. Okay. So a very tried and tested method to confuse the students is putting difficult question in the beginning. First or second question is so difficult or so convoluted or so confusing that you lose a lot of your time in just solving that question only. If you read a question and you are not able to understand it, go ahead. You cannot spend more than 90 seconds on any question. You have 50 questions in 60 minutes. Okay. 90 is also is more if we go consider total number of questions. Excuse me. This happens continuously talking, so sorry. Okay, so now for reasoning based MCQs, where there's a question, there's an analogy, there's a pattern, and you have 4 options. See if all the options fit into that question. You can eliminate the ones which don't work. Use those kind of strategies. Keep 2-3 minutes buffer for OMR technical check, like final answer check. If everything is marked well and you have not made a silly mistake, the answer of 23 is not written in 24 and answer of 24 is not written in 23. Because it's ABCD. Mark tricky questions for a quick revisit. Don't keep on thinking or dwelling on that. You will waste your time. So what do you do for MCQs? Elimination technique. What's that? Eliminate 2 wrong options, especially in theory-based questions. If there's a choice between 2, you're like choice between 4 and choice between 2, the pool is narrower. So if you are not able to recall the correct answer, then eliminate the options that you think ye to nahi ho sakta. These must be the wrong ones. So at least that would help you save time and go closer to the correct answer. Reverse solving from options. Like I said, for logical reasoning, data interpretation, read the question and understand how the question is solved, and then see if which of the 4 options fits with the answer. Okay? Especially in DI and reasoning, you can use this. For the exam day, sleep 7 to 8 hours. Don't pull an all-nighter before the exam. Okay? Your sleep debt has to be cleared. You should not be sleepy on the day of exam. In terms of biology or science, if your mind is fatigued, then your recalling capacity is decreased. And in exam, we need to recall everything that we have learned in the last few weeks, not just last one day. If you are tired, you are fatigued, you will not be able to recall. Probably under adrenaline and cortisol, you will do it, but still you will make silly mistakes. So sleep well before the exam. Go fresh. Eat a light meal. No sugar crash. No laziness. Okay? Don't eat too much. And also don't go hungry. Light meal does not mean you go hungry. Then you will probably have low blood pressure. Your brain needs sugar to function. So don't overdose on sugar. Don't go without sugar. You can't go extremes. Just have light breakfast and go. Check all your essentials, admit card, ID, stationery, water. If there's any emergency backup that you need, your calculator. Reach the center 60 to 90 minutes early, and before the exam also. If it's in the same city, at least once go and look at how your exam center looks like. If it's a different city, okay. But if it's the same city, at least just go and see how it looks like. So that on that day, you are not rushing to find the way to reach there. Okay. These are basic rules applicable to all kinds of exams in life. Mental rehearsal before entering the exam. We practiced something before mocks, right? 15 minutes strategy, something that's a ritual that you practice before exam, like you visualize yourself reading calmly, recalling easily, finishing confidently. Use affirmations like I'm focused and fully prepared. And don't panic if few questions seem unfamiliar. Okay, everyone gets them. So what do you do in exam? Skim through the paper first for all the questions that you already know. Like start with paper 1. See all the questions that you are sure knowing. Start with them. Round 2, attempt moderate or time-taking questions. And round 3, attempt where you need to do logic, elimination, those kind of questions. Mark confusing questions. In round one, don't go and think on them. In round one, first you need to mark all the questions that you know you will score well. Okay. Use your rough sheet wisely, especially for logical reasoning data questions. Be mindful of the digital clock. You need to know how many questions do you need to solve every 15 minutes. Okay. If a difficult question shows up early, don't let it shake you. And if you suddenly become anxious reading a question, or if you feel that, oh my God, I don't know anything, this happens. The moment you see the question paper, either you feel, aaj to sab kuch aata hai, or you feel, oh my God, I know nothing. So if that kind of anxiety rises, pause for 10 seconds, take a deep breath, and smile. Big smile, physiologically smile. Use these muscles to smile. It will reset your brain. Whether you feel like smiling or not, do this. Okay? There's also this technique where you put the pencil in between, but it's an exam hall, so I would suggest a smile. It will reset your brain, calm down your anxiety. Okay? Please give mocks. Giving mocks will, there's no better way to make yourself less anxious than to give mocks. Because the moment you get question paper, your mind will go into that zone which you have practiced in the mocks. Okay, exam zone, fatafat, likho, mark the answers. Remind yourself, everyone gets tricky questions. My job is to manage them better. If you don't know 10 questions, then there are a lot of others also who will not know. You are not the only one who's lost. Remember that. Reserve last few minutes to recheck the questions. Okay. So your strategy would be something like this. You can take a screenshot of it. So first 20 minutes, at least 20 easy questions. Secure the marks that you know you are very sure that these answers I know. Next 25 minutes, apply logic, eliminate all questions that probably require calculations, some logical reasoning, solve that. And in the last 15 minutes, wherever you need to guess the answers, because there's no negative marking, don't leave any question unanswered. Okay? Because there's no negative marking, guess the answers, review the correctly answered questions, and then let go. Go to the paper 2. For paper 2, you can follow a similar strategy. It's just that the time would become double. 40 easy questions, 40 minutes. Then 50 minutes for second round of questions. And then last 30 minutes for guesswork. And final few minutes for checking if the answers are correct. Okay. Just double everything here and you will get the strategy for paper 2. Also, giving mocks will help you develop the stamina to sit continuously and think continuously. That's also an important requirement for exam. So that was all about learning for today's session. A lot of you have already enrolled to our UGC NET Paper 1 crash course, which will be beginning from Monday, 6 to 8 p.m. in the evening. It's Monday to Saturday, 4 weeks, and we'll be covering all the 10 important topics. And I have already discussed the subtopics that we'll be including in our sessions. We'll also be practicing previous year questions so that you know how those theories are applied. We'll also be providing PDFs that would help you prepare for all the topics apart from the topics that we discuss. Because it's less time, it is not possible for us to cover all the topics. However, in the live session, we'll be providing you PDFs, which you can download and prepare for other topics in your free time, and also practice the previous year questions. Okay. So the course is like this. We'll be covering all the 10 important topics: teaching aptitude, research aptitude, higher education, reading comprehension, communication, logical reasoning, mathematical aptitude, data interpretation, ICT, people and environment. The faculties are Dr. Shriya Tripathi. She has cleared her NAT GSET and she's an assistant professor at Gujarat University. So she will be taking 2 of the topics. Professor August Mani Mishra is a professor at Parul, and He has also been preparing students to clear NET exam. I'm Dr. Dhara Sheth, and I have appeared for various other competitive exams, like for banking and for CAT. So I'll be taking 5 of these topics because I've done MA in English language teaching. So I'll be taking teaching aptitude, logical reasoning, communication, ICT, and reading comprehension. The tentative schedule for the 4 weeks would be like this. We'll start with 3 days for teaching aptitude, 2 days for people development and environment, 2 days for higher education. So number of hours would be 2 hours each day. You will also be able to interact with the faculty, like someone in the session asked that, ma'am, is the slide moving or not? Okay. So you'll be able to interact with the faculty during the session. You will also be able to ask the questions. Research aptitude, 3 days. Mathematical reasoning, 3 days. Data interpretation, 2 days. Communication, 3 days. Comprehension would be 1 day. And then we'll also be practicing a few comprehension sets at the end of the remaining days. You know, you'll be given homework and we'll be discussing the answers. Logical reasoning, 3 days. And ICT, computers, 2 days. So this is the overall plan for 4 weeks, 2 hours each day, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. for the course. Recordings would be available with a limited time access, which is till the date of exam. Till exam, you will have access to the recordings of the session. We'll also be practicing previous year questions along with learning the theories in short. E-certificate of participation would be provided. Okay. So usually such courses are for 2,500 rupees in the market. But this time, because it's our pilot project, not for 2,500, not for 200, the course is just for 999 rupees. And there are also group offers. Like if for 5 students, then we would give it for 900. If you are a group of 10 students, then we can give you discount up to 800. For more than 10 students, you need to contact Dr. Pradhimansi Raj on WhatsApp. From wherever you have joined us in that group, Dr. Pradhimansi Raj would be an admin, so you can connect with him. If you are a group of 5 or 10 students, and the admin will be providing you the discount forms accordingly. Okay. So if you have any questions for this course, you can ask right now. If you have any questions related to the exam strategies that we discussed for paper 1, then you can ask right now. In the chat box, you will find a link